evening from Vietnam. Good morning to you, Professor. Thank you very much for spending your morning to join our program and share your stories to our global audience. And on behalf of listeners around the world, I want to say thank you to you.
Thank you very much. Happy to be here.
Yes, Professor Ananda, now you have a new friend, new family in Vietnam. So if you decided to travel to this beautiful country, you know who to call, right?
I will know for sure, right? I'm looking forward to it at some point.
Yeah. And for a little taste of our culture, let me share with you a little bit. It's very honored if we can have you to share a little bit about who you are and the work you do to our audience, and that would be such a great honor for us.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm happy to go back to my childhood. I grew up in Sri Lanka, and then I studied advanced mathematics at University of Colombo in the 80s, and then I came to United States in the mid 80s to Ohio State to do my PhD work, so I studied, then I switched from mathematics to computer science. I did something called computational mathematics, which is like how we use computers to really do things. But one of the things I found out was that the computers are not capable of doing everything because they have limitations of space, I mean, the computing time and this memory and all the other things. So we had to really understand how the computing works. So I worked on an area called computational mathematics, which is mostly in the matrices. So the matrices are actually the foundation for the modern AI or the neural networks. So matrix multiplication, because we are talking about matrices that are very, very large, and they cannot be multiplied to produce. Because when you talk about models in AI, they're really matrices with weights, and those weights have been trained. It's like our brain. If you think about our brain is a bunch of neurons connected, so it's really a matrix connected one neuron to the other, and you have neurons around you. So that kind of fascinated me when I came. Because obviously US being the most advanced place on earth to study advanced technology. So I ended up going to Argonne National Lab in Chicago, and we did use supercomputers. Those are like in the 80s, late 80s, because there were the people didn't have personal computers, were just coming out. And so we used the supercomputers to kind of run these experiments that would run for weeks and weeks before you can get an answer. And all right, so you don't know that you have an answer until it's done. And then what I did was, my research was very interesting because you cannot prove anything by just running a program, because the program runs and you don't know whether that program is going to produce the same output every time you run it. And the only way to prove that a program is correct is to prove it mathematically. You write some equations and you show that a program is actually a proof, a mathematical proof. A program has an input and then it has an output, and you want to make sure that every input produces the same output. Every time you give the same input, you get the same output, right? So I was fascinated by that idea that we can formally prove that the computer programs are correct, right? So that was really an eye-opening for me, and sort of understanding that I love the idea of connecting this computing to mathematics, because I love mathematics. And I think mathematics is the absolute truth of the world. You have a set of axioms. Nobody can deny it once you prove it, and it's always the same. So so after I finished my PhD, I joined Carnegie Mellon as a professor in 1998. I did. So So I actually, at that time, I met, the first one I met was, Randy Pausch, he was a faculty member in computer science. In fact, I sat through his course. He taught a course in what's called the human-computer interaction. So I was fascinated by it. It's like, how do humans actually interact with a machine? What is the best way to understand that? What are the user interfaces, user experiences that humans have, right? So Randy he became a friend, and we actually published a few papers together. His Alice project was like, his Alice project, I wish you had the chance to interview with me. He's such an interesting guy, right?
Yeah.
And then again, going back to Don Marinelli, I never met him, although because he was in the arts, the fine arts. But then after I came to Princeton, I talked about the Princeton journey. I happened to run into him on a train to Pittsburgh. It was an accidental. We were both in the business class. We were the only two people there. And I said, I think, we just got to. We had 5 hours to talk. He's such an interesting guy. Yeah. So it was really good. Anyway, so at Carnegie Mellon, I did a lot of things, and we started a company called TechCentric, which is a company, because these were the early days of technology in publishing. So publishers were looking to use technologies like in the early 2000s. They had printed books, but they were really very inefficient process of taking a book from manuscript to the textbook. In fact, by the way, I wrote a textbook in 1998, which is behind me. I think you can see it, which is on computational linear algebra. So that was my field of research. Right? And so we started a company, and I took some time off from CMU, and we raised some money, and we actually set up the two branches, like one in the US in Pittsburgh, and then the other one is in Colombo, Sri Lanka. So we had about 70 employees, software engineers, and people working for the company. So we sold our technology. So we were the first to provide customizable training. Like, right now today it's very trivial. But those days, it was very hard to produce textbook output to multiple devices, right? You want print, you want web, you want mobile. So they were very difficult things. And what we did was to build a technology that can take the same content base and repurpose that for multiple devices. So we sold that company technology to Pearson in 2008, and then Pearson is now in Sri Lanka, and they are doing exclusively their technology things in Sri Lanka. So there's a huge Pearson operation in Sri Lanka. So I take all the credit for that. Okay, we did this, right? So Pearson is a huge company and in publishing. So Carnegie Mellon, I did a lot of different things. I was part of the Microsoft tablet PC initiative in the early 2000s, because long before iPad, people don't even know that there were tablets that were out there. In fact, that's why we went to Singapore to partner with the company to build tablet PCs for packaging all the textbooks and deliver them on a mobile device. This was in 2002, so you can imagine, right? The iPad came in 2010, so it was
8 years advance.
Yeah, exactly. So I spent a lot of time at Microsoft, met Bill Gates and others that were influential, but Microsoft tablet never took off. But then somehow Apple figured out how to build a tablet for everyone, right? So so that was sort of my sort of CMU days, and then I'll bring you back to the current process. So, like in 2013, I was invited to join Princeton computer science department because I knew what the founding chair of the computer science department, uh, Professor Bob Sedgwick. He's a well-known professor in algorithms. I actually learned computer algorithms from his textbooks, right? So I joined the faculty there to teach computer science, and he and I, we started working on various projects, and eventually one of the projects we worked on was what's called the CUbits.ai, which is a platform to bring the authors, the prominent authors, to build video courses easily and put them online for like a marketplace. It's like a marketplace. The reason we did that because he had courses on Coursera. You may have heard about those, right? But the thing is that he couldn't get any revenue or royalties from Coursera, and the reason for that is that the Coursera would not give any revenue unless Princeton give a degree or something to Coursera. Of course, that Princeton said we are not going to do that, right? So they are not offering any degrees, so therefore he couldn't do it. So someone like Bob Sedgwick, he didn't have a way to monetize it, so we built this platform called CUbits.ai. So today it's like we have thousands of people using it for creating videos and putting them on as a course, curating them, using AI to do a lot of things. So you can actually train a custom AI bot to answer questions related to that particular course. And so I came to Princeton. So we started working on the platform for one of the problems. The reason we obviously you always start working when there's a problem, right? So there's a problem to be solved, and so the problem was that the Princeton, as you know, is a very elite institution, and the class sizes became like too large for computer science. So there's too much demand, right? So my lectures are often like 300 people in a large auditorium, and so that that kind of says that there's no way I can teach 300 people. I can get to 300 people. I can motivate them. I can get them excited about things. I can tell them stories about computer science, but I'm not going to teach them concepts in a 300 student class because it takes time for people to, it takes, when you teach, it takes time to go back and forth between the teacher and the student for the students to comprehend it. That can be done if you have 10 students or 15 students or 20 students, but not 300 students, right? So 300 students means you got to find an alternate way to teach them conceptual ideas. So what we did was to repurpose our lectures, 300-person lectures, into much more conversation. So what is the latest and the greatest advancement in computer science? That happened more recently because we are into cutting edge technology. And then we curated videos for the students to understand. They learn the difficult concepts because they can watch them multiple times, and we had the interactive activities embedded into CUbits.ai platform, and then they can do this multiple times, and students were very, very happy because they get to hear stories and lots of things like problem solving and other things from the professors, because you only have like very short amount of time with the students, and they want to know everything. Like you're asking me. I mean, I have a lot of experience, right? So, and now I have a lot to share with them. But I don't. If I started teaching concepts in the class, which they can learn from YouTube or other places. But I think what we wanted to do is to curate a course just for the class. So we said, okay, you come to class, we're going to motivate you, we're going to tell you what we're going to do. you go home and watch those videos, answer questions, get help from AI, uh, and uh, and I think it worked out really well. All the students were happy. The people who are really smart didn't even have to watch the videos; they kind of got it right. So and then the others watched it 3, 4 times before they can get the concept. But that's okay. That's the way it is. Uh, so the in then in 2018, I had a chance to build I got more and more into the artificial intelligence, and because my research area and my interests, we actually, before that, I want to tell you this story about, we, I had students working at Princeton, and then one of the things we did was to train machine learning models to do the tasks that the humans are not very capable of doing. Well, they're capable of doing, but they're boring and they're time consuming, right? So one of them was, actually the reason we did that was this. I did tell you that story. I had a deaf student who couldn't hear in my class at Princeton. And he comes to class with a transcriber, so that means there's someone else sitting next to him and taking notes while I'm doing the lecture. And he's talking to this guy in Braille or whatever, right? So but he could read things. He cannot talk. He cannot listen. He cannot hear. So what we said was, can we train a model which can take a video, any video, and then transcribe it, and then do punctuations. Again, if you think that I give you a transcript of a text without punctuation, a human can know where to put the period and the commas and all the things to separate sentences and all that, right? So once you separate the sentences, then you can group similar sentences to create segments of the video. And so we created a method to take any YouTube video and we could just do segmentation. Now, right now, YouTube also has something called pages and something similar there, but we did it before that, and we actually patented it from Princeton. So we have 2 patents on that. So they were behind the CUbits.ai intellectual property. So now so I had a chance to, in 2018, I had a chance to, Rutgers University is one of the largest state, it's a research university, it's part of the Big Ten. Big Ten is Michigan and all the other things. And they're also in New Jersey, they're very close to Princeton. So I had a chance to kind of collaborate with them and help them build a data science and artificial intelligence program that they didn't have. And the school has about 60,000 students, so it's a very large student. Compared to Princeton, it's 10 times bigger. And so I worked with them. I worked with the Rutgers to build the infrastructure for again teaching data science and AI, because around that time the machine learning, ChatGPT wasn't out yet. ChatGPT came out around 2021, and before that we were all doing what's called predictive AI. So predictive, right? You probably heard about those terms. So ChatGPT is generative AI. Predictive AI is really predicting what could happen and some kind of probabilistic thing. So at that time we were really trying to teach the students. There are multiple ways to program. Writing programming Java or something is one way, but you can also train a program. You can actually you can give the input and the output and train a program, you can get the program to be written by the machine, not by the human. Usually we write the program, but so the second way of programming is you train the machine to learn what the program is.
Mm.
So as an example, you can say, I have a bunch of pictures. Some of them are my mother's, some of them are, the others are not. So I show pictures of, half the pictures of my mother and half are not, right? And then when I give a new picture, so it learns to understand the features of my mother, which I cannot understand, like, like it's very subtle, right? All the features, like how we recognize our mother is a very interesting thing. I mean, how do we know that's our mother, right? So that's, but the machine can see very subtle things in the pictures and say that those subtle things only are unique to that person, that mother, but not to the others, right? So the very subtle things, even we don't see it, we just have a feeling. And so somehow once you give this new picture to the machine, it can say, I'm 90% sure this is your mother, right? So that's a remarkable way to think about writing programs by training models. So that's what we did in those classes. Yeah. So the one thing I forgot to mention from my Carnegie Mellon days was we started another company called Classroom Salon, which is a social learning platform, which there was one of the interesting experiences with I worked with the head of the English at CMU to build this platform. So if you search Google for Classroom Salon, you might find it. And that was really interesting. And then we had some algorithms behind it. We sold that to a company called GTII in 2022, I think. Yeah. Anyway, so let's come back to the the Princeton days and then Rutgers, right? Okay, so what do I do now? So I'm the co-chair of what's called the Princeton NJ Hub. So I'll say a few things. I'm co-chair of the education and training component of Princeton NJ Hub. Anyone can Google that and you will find the website. So this AI Hub is somewhat very unique in the sense that the idea is that AI is going to fundamentally change our society. It's going to change the education. It's going to change the workforce. Many of the things we thought we were very good at, like intellectually, AI can do better now. So there's a challenge there, right? So it's like, okay, what do the humans do now? So we have to rethink our curriculum, how we teach students to be prepared for the AI future, because AI is here to stay and AI is going to disrupt. Based on the numbers coming from the government, we're going to lose about 90 million jobs due to AI within the next 10 years. But it also predicts that there will be like 160 million new jobs will be created. But, I think you're kind of taking this. So, for example, like when the web came in the late 90s or mid 90s, no one knew there's a job called social media influencer, or right, or some social media marketing, right? So these jobs did not exist before 2000, and then we have so many new things that are very much tied to the web infrastructure, right, that happened in the 90s. So I think people are very hopeful that this AI revolution will also show people there are lots of other new jobs that we can't even think of today will be created. But nobody knows what they are. I mean, I don't know what they are, right? So we are going to invent those things eventually.
Yeah.
Uh, so that's what we are going. So because so the Princeton University and the state of New Jersey got together and say, okay, we need to establish what's called an AI hub. So what's an AI hub? AI hub is that we have to make sure that all the citizens of the state of New Jersey are trained to meet this AI challenge.
Wow.
Right? So it's a huge challenge, and it's coming. So we got maybe 5 years, maybe 10 years to meet that challenge. But we got to start now, right? Before we get disrupted. So this means that we have to rethink the education from the K through 12 to college and to graduate school and beyond.
Wow.
And so Microsoft also became part of this NJAI Hub. So Microsoft is a founding partner for that, and also the COVI, which is like a new startup that provides the GPU, the graphical processing unit infrastructure for training AI models. Right? So this AI Hub has 3 areas. One area is promoting AI research and development and applied research. So under that, so there are a number of research research labs at Princeton. One of them is called Princeton Precision Medicine. So it's like finding the medicine that's perfect for your DNA, right? So like imagine that you're taking an Advil or aspirin, but that aspirin is just created for you, and therefore it's going to work perfectly on your body. Right? So they think that in the future we will all have a way to get our drugs manufactured to match to our DNA, and therefore when you take a drug, it doesn't have any side effects.
Wow.
Which is very, I mean, that's why, like if you have a headache, you take aspirin or Advil, 50% of the people feel fine, 25% of the people don't have any reaction to it, nothing, and then 25% of the people will feel even worse by taking the pill, right? So so why is that? Because it's very probabilistic. We don't know whether that tablet will work on you. We know in general it will work on you, it will work on people. So the idea of this lab is to really figure out create infrastructure for customized, personalized medicine. So I think that's very likely within like the next 10 years, we're going to go online and say, send me 10 Advils for me. Right? So, those 10 Advils will work for you, it will work for me perfectly, 100%.
Wow.
That's the vision. So then that's the first area, which is the research and development. And there are a bunch of labs called Princeton Language Institute, which work on models like ChatGPT kind of models, large language models, but they're working on various very specific models. And interesting thing is people think that we are done, but we are like the very early days of the web, right? So like there's a browser, there's information coming. We haven't seen anything yet in AI, right? But it's already amazing. It's doing great stuff. But there's a lot to do in terms of understanding how the AI works and what's the AI-human interaction would look like, because obviously we wouldn't want the AI to replace us. We want to work with the AI. We also don't want to give AI the full control of the decision making. Because the fear is that if you let the AI loose, it's so powerful technology, you cannot take it back. It can kind of, like right now, the big focus is the AI agents. So AI agents can let loose in the web. Once you put an AI agent into the web, there's no way you cannot unplug it, right? So it's
Oh.
there. So it can collaborate with other AI agents and start to cause harm to the human race. It's possible. So if the agent was created with the intention of, learn all the bad things and cause, harm, try to find a way to do it, and then human doesn't even get involved, the AI will learn and do it. So this is the sort of the bad side of AI. And so there are a lot of people who are really thinking about how can we develop guardrails against those things, because we have the time right now to do it before this happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. So so R&D is one thing, and the other part of the hub is commercializing and accelerating innovation, because we think that there'll be lots of opportunities for startup companies to leverage the AI technologies to build new ideas, solve difficult problems like climate change or sustainability or food distribution. I mean, we have enough food, but we have a lot of people who are hungry, right? So that's and AI can help a lot of those things by understanding how these things work.
Yeah.
So we think that there will be a lot of AI in finance and climate sciences and new energy sciences. Those kind of things are very huge opportunities. So the hub will promote that to build, provide an incubator for startup companies to develop. The young people can start companies. We already have one company called smartslides.org, which is kind of using AI to generate videos and other kinds of things. Right. So so the idea would be to bring venture capital and create this startup ecosystem. And I'm very passionate about startup companies because I've done things myself, and I think that's the best way to build young people to think innovatively, because we're not done, right? So we keep marching forward with our knowledge, but unless you innovate and you build a product that can help other people, it's very satisfying when you see people using the product you build. Right? I've had people use a lot of the things when I see it, sometimes it's very rewarding.
Yeah.
And so that's one thing. And then the third component, so I say promoting AI research and development, applied research, first part, commercializing and accelerating innovation. The third part is the education and training. So the challenge there is I'm a co-chair of a group where we have Microsoft, COVI, and this large group. And then what we're trying to do is to bring together all the institutions in New Jersey, all the higher education institutions. Now, traditionally, higher education institutions don't talk to each other. They do their own thing. But we are telling them this time is different. You cannot be doing your own thing because the world is moving too fast for you, right? So we have to be a team and building things for our students, our customers, our clients. And so if we get together, because AI is moving so fast, no one institution is capable of developing and keeping up with AI. So it requires a lot of effort. And as you know, New Jersey, New Jersey has 19 community colleges, and those are the small sort of regional schools where you can get like an associate degree, like a 2-year degree. And then there are 40 4-year institutions in in New Jersey. And
40.
Princeton, 40, yeah, 40 new, universities that you can get a degree from.
Ah,
Right. And most of them are small, except Rutgers, like 60,000, and then Princeton is like, it's an elite research institution. But then we have to bring together all these almost 60 institutions to talk to each other, and that's a big challenge because education is very, very hard to get people to talk, and the faculty, right? Very stubborn professors like me, we don't. I know how to do that. You don't have to tell me how to do it, right? So that's the way we think about things. But I
wow.
think, yeah. But I think that if you learn, and one thing I learned is that by working together, we can actually build something better together. So that's another charge that I'm in charge of, trying to make that happen. So I visit universities, I meet with the chairs, and I meet with the chairs of the universities, deans, and other people. I give lectures, keynotes, and other things to kind of tell them about what the hub does, and get them into this thinking mode. Yeah, let's come together and create a one thing we are all trying to do is to create what's called the AI for all, which is like an AI literacy. And so how do we? I mean, there are a lot of people who are working on these kind of things, but we're saying, okay, let's focus on New Jersey and do this for the citizens of New Jersey. And the next challenge is the workforce development, meaning that how do we train the next generation of employees? So what's one challenge, which is like, taking you through the K through 12 system to college, and then when they graduate, they are AI ready. So we have to say every person, regardless of what your major is, right?
Yeah.
I don't know what you studied, what's your background?
Business.
Business, yeah. So business, right? So business, yeah. So how does AI, how is AI? I mean, business is a very broad area, but there are lots of sub areas within business, right? How can AI improve the process or whatever? So that even if you're not technical, you should be technical enough to work with an AI tool.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And because there's a saying that if you lose your job, that's because someone who knows your job plus AI replaced you.
Yes.
So
Correct.
you should really learn AI, and AI happened. So we are working with. Actually, I went to Meta and Facebook people. I gave a talk there last year, and we were trying to collaborate with them, and because I think one of the things we are interested in is the two things. One is called the reskilling, and the other one is called upskilling.
Yeah.
Right? Reskilling is really you're like a writer, but you want to be a programmer now. So how do we do that? So what type of things we provide you to do? So the hub will become, I hope, will become like a place where people can come and learn something and get a certification and then present them to get a new job. So reskilling, and then the upskilling is obviously the people learning AI tools in their job. They're not leaving the job, but they're saying, okay, if I use AI tools, I can make my work 30% more efficient than what I do now. So how do you do that? That's a huge saving of time that you can spend on thinking about things or innovating it, or rather than doing very mundane things, right? Which you think you don't really learn by doing them, but you still have to do it, right? In fact, we think about that all the time. Like at Princeton, we built a auto grading system. So if you think about 300 students taking computer science classes, and then we have assignments for them every week. They are very challenging assignments. right?
Ah.
So you get 300 submissions, and we still have 10 TAs, so graders. It takes an enormous amount of time for a human to grade these things. So what we did was we built a platform where we can provide, like, how you grade programming is like giving test cases, right? Does it run for this input? You should get the right output, this output here, right? So we built a thing that can run auto grading. So it's like, that's the kind of scale you need. So it cannot be done by humans, right? So a lot of the mundane things. So grading to me is a mundane task, because it's like, only thing the student wants to know, did I do it right?
That happened like 40 something years ago, when you run an experiment and waiting for weeks for the computer to get the result, right? Now you create a mathematical formula to make sure that you understand the result before that, right?
Exactly. I think, you don't have to wait anymore. And I think I love this idea of automation, because I think we should automate most of the things that we do on us every day, but we don't really, there's no benefit to redoing it again and again and again. There's no benefit to the student, or there's no benefit to the professor. Because when you had 10 students, I could give personalized feedback. But now I can build an AI agent to give personalized feedback for the student.
Yeah.
So again, that's not because I don't want to give personalized feedback. That's because I'm not able to do it. I don't have the time to do it. Right? So you have to automate it. I don't think there's any disadvantage to grading by a computer, providing feedback from a computer. The students can learn more, and the professors can spend more time creating exciting, interesting new assignments, because our time is very limited to, if we keep doing the same thing, so if we offload some of the mundane things we do, like routine things we do, to an agent, so we free up that time to do interesting things to advance the course.
Bigger impact, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Professor Ananda, I want to travel time with you when you were really little, because according to all the notes that I'm taking here, and I'm not using AI, I'm using my hands to write all of that. So you see me down, okay?
Yeah, right.
When I look at that, it was a boy who loved mathematics, right? And then came to realization that he loves the computational of the computer to, so moving to computer science to learn about computational mathematics, right? And then from there he created companies, and then sell the companies to bigger companies, and then create a whole like IT outsourcing from Persons to Sri Lanka, where he's from. Also amazing, bravo, create a lot of beautiful things. And there's a few words in here that I really keynote is rethinking, repurpose, okay, and create. So those are the words that when throughout our conversation is like, you are the one who running that DNA inside of you to create, to repurpose something for a deaf student to come to class. Now it can be, using for many other people. So it's a noble thing to do. Allow me to bring you back when you were in time, to see how you were when you were little. And I'll go first, okay? When I was little, and my first dream about the works that I am going to do in the world is to be an astronaut. And the reason was simple. I grew up in a very poor community, so in front of my house was like the funeral house, and then the graveyards on the left side, the graveyards on the right side. So our communities were like surrounded by dead people with that way. Yeah. And one night we have electricity. The next night or two we didn't have electricity. So my only entertainment at night was when we saw the moon, and we said, oh, so beautiful, so it's so bright. So I said, okay, if I grow up one day, I want to be traveling to the moon to see how beautiful up there. but he didn't
Mhm.
give any opportunity to do that. So for
Yeah.
Professor Ananda, for now you running you co-chair the AI hub that have a lot of different priorities to R&D, to accelerating innovations, and then to the last one was to reframe education and educate people, right?
Yeah.
If I note down correctly. So I I want to know what was your initial dream about the future work that Nanda is going to do for the world.
Yeah, I think I mean, from now on, I think I dream of sort of, uh, uh, the understanding uh, a lot of the things I dream of, sort of like, how the AI will make us very, very smart
Not
at the end.
now. I was talking about when you were little, when you were in Sri
Oh,
Lanka.
little.
Yeah,
Oh,
what
yeah,
was your
yeah.
dream?
Oh, okay, okay. Right, right, right. So, yeah, when I was growing up, obviously, I wasn't really good in math in the beginning. I wasn't the best student or anything. But then suddenly in the sixth grade, I saw math. It's like, oh, this is nice. I want to do this because I enjoy solving math problems or applied mathematics and all that. So my dream even then, like when I was in sixth grade, is to become a professor in a college, right? Because I love teaching and I love exchanging ideas. In fact, even when I was in ninth grade, I started a tutoring service for the fifth grade students in a Buddhist temple in Sri Lanka, right? So we charged them, like, very little money. It was not big, but the fact that I went there and I taught them how to think about math, and math is beautiful and all that. So I continued that into the college. I kept teaching because the teaching was I love teaching. But then I realized that, I didn't create anything. I didn't understand technology, obviously, when I was growing up. But then I realized that there's a whole new kind of like innovation ecosystem that I'm good at. I was always interested in business, right? But I didn't want to do business. I didn't want to start a pizza, parlor or something, right? So I wanted to kind of do something more deep and advanced, but it's a business. Like, it has a product, it has a revenue, it has a service, and all that. So that was but before I do anything, my family was very education focused, and my father was an auditor, and my mother was at home. She stayed home, but they emphasized the importance of learning, keep learning, don't go into business now, kind of thing. So I said, okay, I will keep learning. I'll go do a master's. I'll go do a PhD. I'll become a professor, right? So I didn't start my a real business, a technology business, until I became a professor. Uh, but I knew I was going to go more into the academia and the research and the entrepreneurship. Uh, I I was never interested in running a company and things like that, but I'm very good at innovating things. I'm really good at thinking about new ideas. I always ask the question, why can't we do it that way? Why do you have to do it this way, right? So it's like a lot of the time, if you keep asking that question, because every process we have can be improved by some way, and there's nothing optimal there, right? Even, yeah.
So wanted to become a professor at sixth grade, right? And later on in the university time, then wanted to become an entrepreneur and
Yeah.
bring them both together, and you did it really, really, really well. So I want to bring you to your family side. Was there anybody in the family that was like a role model for you to have that kind of dream and pursue that kind of dream, or is that like somebody totally outside on your network, and then you follow them?
So my father and mother never went to college, so they didn't go to college. But I had a role model. One of my uncles. I remember when I was in sixth grade. Maybe that's why I became a professor. He graduated from college and he went to France to do a PhD. And we all went to the airport to send him off to France. And I thought, wow, this is great. Now he's going to France for 5 years. We're not going to see him for 5 years. And then he'll come back with a PhD from France. So at that point, I thought, I'm going to get a PhD. And I want to do the same thing. So that my uncle was the motivation for me. And he became a professor in a university in Colombo. Later on, when he came back, he became a professor of geology. He wasn't even in computer science, but I always say that he was the motivation for me to pursue that. But that's when I think about it, that's where it started. But then my father and other people encouraged me to kind of keep going. And plus, I wanted to come to America, right? So it's like as a young man, it's the greatest privilege to be here and to see all the latest and greatest stuff. I worked with the best people. I think that was one of my dreams, and I always went to the American Center to read about America and those kind of things in Colombo. But anyway, so yeah, looking back, I wasn't the smartest person in the class, and but looking back, I've written 3 textbooks and patents, and I have patents from Carnegie Mellon and Princeton, and I've done companies, and I've been a professor, and now I'm doing this AI hub stuff. So I think my life journey was, I couldn't have predicted that it would end up like this, but it started from a simple thing that I'm going to follow my uncle and get a PhD. And that kind of opens the door to a lot of different things.
See, if I can bring you to that airport on that very, very day that you and the relatives say goodbye to your uncle, knowing that you're going to go into France for a PhD for 5 years, you're not going to be able to see him for a few years, and then that at that moment it built inside of you the desire one day that Ananda is going to become a PhD person and become a professor also. Okay, so if you can tell him about what you are doing now and the journey that exploring newness, creating newness, creating so many exciting, being able to be friends, working together with Randy Pauls and Matt Dawn, and do so many beautiful things at the Princeton University and the AI Hub. What are you going to tell your uncle?
Yeah, I would tell my uncle, thank you for showing me that there's a path, because you would never imagine that path exists. But my uncle, I would say, look at me. I took the inspiration from you when I was in 6th grade, when I saw you going to France, and then I took that all the way to here. So I've come a long journey. But my uncle is, every time I see my uncle, I actually tell him that you are the reason that I am here. Well, he's not the only reason, but he's the inspiration. Obviously, your family, your father, your mother play a big role, but he was my educational inspiration. And he says, I said, by looking at you, I realized I can do this too. Right? I don't have to be afraid of going this journey. But then I went into some of the world's top universities, Carnegie Mellon, Princeton, Rutgers. So those are all like very big things. Even when I look back at my life and say, how did I do this? Right? It's like so many things. So yeah, I think that's what I would tell him. Thank you for making me realize that journey is possible. But I didn't know at least that professor journey was possible, and the professor kind of opened up all the things for me.
Yeah, wow. Because what you've been doing and what you've been doing and what you are doing now, right? It's inspiring so many people out there. Okay, every student that you teach is an opportunity for you to touch million people through their works also. So it's a butterfly effect, right? So, And one day there will be a student coming to you, there will be listener of the program coming to you and say, okay, you've been the inspirational source for them to doing what they do. So what would be the one piece of advice Professor Ananda can give to them now so that they can have the confidence to continue pursuing their dream, their path, and their lives?
Yeah, what I tell my students all the time is like, be hungry. Like, don't be satisfied with by doing a degree. But if doing a degree doesn't mean anything unless you keep seeking knowledge. So I said, you have to be seeking new knowledge. You have to be innovative. So be an entrepreneur. I think it's amazing the kind of lessons it teaches you beyond just the things. Like if you're building a product and trying to market this product, amazing experiences you get as a person who did not study business or other kinds of things. So I tell them, keep innovating, keep thinking beyond the classroom, and just shoot for the stars. I think I've inspired a lot of people through my life. I think I've already had people come to me and said, I've done this. I was losing my hope, and I took your class, and now suddenly I see a new world out there with AI and data science, and I'm going to pursue that. I can see a lot of opportunity there. Right. So I always tell these stories to my students, to tell them I'm not just a professor. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm an author, right? So I do a lot of things, and I like doing a lot of things because that keeps my life more interesting.
Beautiful. Wow. I know that I asked you for an hour and then we 3 minutes past for that already. I just have two last questions for this conversation. Would that be okay if we can extend a little bit more for that?
Yeah, just a few minutes. Yeah, sure.
Sure. Thank you very much. And my wife and I, we've been on the personal quest to help people to improve their ability to think, because there's so much noises out there today to affect our ability to think, right? And so every chance like this is an opportunity for us to understand how you've been growing your ability to think over the years of that, and it can help people to learn from you, to reflect and adapt and find something that worthwhile for them to use in their lives. So the question for you, Professor Ananda, is how have you been growing your ability to think that our audience can learn from?
Say that again. Repeat that question, please.
How have you been growing your ability to think over the years?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think I am a very curious person. I'm always asking, even I get trouble at home asking my wife, why are you doing it that way? So it's sort of like, I'm always like curious. Like I always want to think. I always want to do new things. I always want to. So I think that has kept me going, like, being able to think about how do I teach this topic, or how do I build this product. Those things, I think it comes from the curiosity factor plus the hunger for knowledge. I want to know more about this. And then I like doing things. I don't want to talk, I don't like talking and in meetings a lot. I just want to get my hands on and do something, build something, and see how it works. Prototype it. I do a lot of prototyping myself. So that's the advice I give the young people. Just prototype your idea because you have a lot of tools to do it. And then if you want to make it a product, bring a team and then think about how to get that, build a market and monetize it and all the other things. Right? Yeah. So yeah.
Wow. Beautiful. Thank you. The last question is about the platform that we are building at the moment called helloNEWNESS, because we want to help people to experience newness and enjoy embracing it. So your life is like you exploring newness every like different part of your life. You always seek for newness and creating that, right? So through that journey of wisdom, what would be the advice you give people to have the confidence to explore newness inside of them and outside of them for a better self and to create something better for the community?
Yeah, my advice is don't be afraid to fail, because you're going to fail. I mean, I think I have maybe 4 ideas that were successful, but I probably pursued like 30 ideas. And so I failed 26 times, but I succeeded 4 times. So, so don't be afraid to pursue an idea and fail and learn from it, and start to pursue a new idea. So I think that's the advice I give anyone, because even when you fail, in fact, the lessons you learn when you fail is more important than lessons you learn when you succeed. Uh, it's because it gives you and the ability to not get discouraged when you fail. Like if you think, I'm going to build this product, I love this product, and I'm going to give it to the world and see how they like it, and nobody likes it, and suddenly you feel like, why do they see it, right? So maybe it's not the time for the product. But if you analyze it and say, maybe I went to the wrong people, and you try, but you fail, you still fail, and you give up on, you said, okay, I learned a good set of lessons and let's move on. In fact, I was in a panel at the Association for Computing Machinery panel, that the panel, the title of the panel was, we thought that was a good idea at the time, right? So everybody talked about all the ideas that failed, some idea that failed. Academics don't talk about these things. We don't want to talk about our failures, right?
Uh-huh.
But this was a panel where we said, we're not afraid to say that we failed, because we failed. I failed 26 times, but I succeeded 4 times. That's okay. That's a good success rate for me. But the 26 times I failed, I learned so many lessons that are better than the ones I learned from succeeding. And so that's a great lesson. So, okay.
Wow. Wow. Professor Ananda, thank you so much for spending your morning to share your beautiful journey, the beautiful stories, so many amazing wisdom to our audience, and I really love you and the work you do, and really look forward to one day you come to our country. We take you around, or if I go to your area, I will definitely say, let's have a cup of tea together, and let's give you a big hugs for all the beautiful works you've been doing for for the people around the world. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're in New Jersey or Princeton area, then happy to. Yeah, definitely.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks for
You
the
have a
time.
wonderful day, and say hello to your family for us, please.
Thank you very much. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.